And there's this item: we've decided to bomb the moon. NASA will do it on Friday. They have put together computer animation to show what it will look like. 7:30 a.m. Friday. They're going to crash a rocket into the surface of the moon. They say it's going to be visible through even a simple telescope here on Earth. And then another craft will follow right behind the rocket to send live pictures of the huge explosion back here on Earth. The goal of all this is to see how much water or even ice there might be under the dust and rocks on the surface.
This is pretty cool stuff, Matt. Good morning to you. The telescope here is focused on the lunar South Pole. That's an area the size of Africa. Now, NASA believes it's as cold as Pluto down there. They believe that there are ice molecules in the dust. The question, are there bigger chunks of ice underneath that dust? To find out, NASA is going to blast it.
It's one small step for man.
You'd think that 40 years after astronauts first landed there, scientists would have the moon pretty well figured out. But in fact, it's surprising how little we know. So tomorrow morning, NASA will come calling once again.
We are going to whack the moon in a controlled experiment to try to really understand what's in the lunar soil. Could it actually contain some of the most important stuff for human exploration and for science?
That stuff is water. NASA's L-Cross mission involves an unmanned rocket followed by a separate satellite transmitting live TV images and scientific data back to Earth. At 7:30 a.m. Eastern Time, traveling at twice the speed of a bullet, the rocket will slam into a crater on the lunar South Pole, sending up a plume of dust, rocks, and hopefully ice. 4 minutes later, the satellite will fly through the plume, collecting data and sending it back to Earth before it too crashes into the moon. So why didn't NASA do this during the Apollo missions in the 60s and 70s?
We were trying to understand the origins of the moon and, by extension, the origins of the solar system. But we never thought that we were going to find anything like water on the moon at that point in time.
Only recently did an orbiting probe detect the first signs of ice on the moon. Critical, since ice could make future permanent moon bases entirely feasible. NBC's Jay Barbary is at the Kennedy Space Center.
Substantial water on the moon would not only serve astronauts' thirst, it would give them oxygen to breathe and hydrogen fuel for their spaceships.
Since the Apollo astronauts brought back 900 pounds of moon rocks, technology has made lunar leaps. Now NASA is banking on it to unravel even more of the moon's 5 billion years of mystery. Okay, consider this. If they find water on the moon, is that evidence of a failed attempt at biological life, primitive life, billions of years ago? Science teachers, set your DVRs. It's going to be live on television, great images, and we'll have it tomorrow. Matt, back to you.
It gives a whole new meaning to shoot the moon.
NASA wants to bomb the moon on October 9th.
Bombing the moon? What are they thinking? They should bomb Mars!
Nope, the target is definitely the moon, a crater on the South Pole. A rocket the size of a school bus will be sent crashing into the moon. The impact will kick up a huge cloud of debris that will be scanned by a second spacecraft looking for water.
Our stupid government and NASA is gonna bomb the moon.
Actually, no explosives will be involved, but the moon's defenders have launched their own counterattack.
You lunatics! NASA to send a missile to blast the moon to bits.
Some are joking, but others are serious. Take this online petition with 560 signatures and comments like, heavenly bodies should not be disturbed. Thus poetically,
NASA bombed the moon.
Some worry about the effect on the tides.
By noon the next day, New York had been swallowed, and by dinner time, half the East Coast had followed.
Even before NASA's rocket hit, global reaction to the lunar mission to find water on the moon was lighting up the internet.
Lead story this afternoon is this. You lunatics, NASA to send a missile to blast the moon to bits.
In absolutely shocking news, NASA have launched a mission to bomb the moon. I'm not making this up. They are seriously bombing the moon. This is the most outrageous waste of money I've ever heard of.
So NASA's going to destroy the moon.
Even late-night talk show host David Letterman got in on the act.
This is something they weren't counting on. Oh, no!
But mixed views on Twitter. This one, bomb? It's more like dropping a small pebble on a large beach. Calling it a bomb is just ridiculous and pandering. Then this, bombing the moon? Great, now we can add aliens onto the War on Terror list. Time of impact, it's out of your hands. The countdown has begun. Rosemary Church, CNN, Atlanta.
Us now is Caroline Moore, the official but unpaid teenaged amateur astronomy czar of the Rachel Maddow Show. Your Excellency, thank you for joining us again.
You're welcome. Glad to be here.
All right, so you're our astronomy czar, so I have to ask you this. I know you live in New York State. Mm-hmm. Do you think that you're going to be able to see this tomorrow, or do you think it might be too light for people on the East Coast to see it?
You know, I'm hoping we're going to see it. I don't know, 7 o'clock in the morning. Let's see. I'm getting ready for school about then. There's still some stars out around that time, so we'll see. We'll see.
So it's sort of hit or miss on the East Coast.
Definitely.
But people west of the Mississippi, certainly like people in Hawaii, they're going to get a great view.
Oh, yeah, I think so, for sure.
What do you think it's going to look like?
You know, I don't know. I think that you're probably going to be able to see some of the debris. I think you're definitely going to see the impact, and I think it's going to be really an amazing event. Yeah. Just even if you don't really get to see much of what it actually looks like, it's just an amazing event in general.
I know that this is a little bit weird, but I spent a lot of the day today reading the blog of the flight director of the mission, which goes on for a long time, and he's obviously really excited, but he's also kind of sad. I mean, this spacecraft has been orbiting for 112 days, and then tomorrow at 7:31 in the morning, they're slamming it into the moon and it'll be destroyed. In terms of the relative value of what we're going to learn by destroying this spacecraft, do you think I should just sort of get over feeling sad for the spacecraft?
Yeah, yes. I think you should, because that's what it was meant to do. It was built to further investigate, the science on the moon, and I think that that's what they intended it for to do, even with all the millions of dollars they spent building it.
Yeah, I mean, it's like sending all this data, and especially once the rocket goes in, the first plume comes up, and the spacecraft flies through the debris field and sends back all the data about what it finds, and then it just goes silent. I can imagine, I don't know, I shouldn't feel sad for the spaceship, but I do. One of the reasons that NASA says they want so many amateur astronomers to be watching is because they say they want as many eyes as possible on this. And that made me think about when I interviewed you about the supernova, because you discovered the supernova because of data that the bigger observatories disseminate to amateurs in order to try to find what's out there, right?
Right, yeah. For supernova hunting, we each grab our own data, and I'm thinking, I haven't actually heard that myself, but I'm thinking maybe they just want, first of all, it's a great opportunity for the amateurs to see something quite amazing that's happened so far in science, and also maybe there'll be some great event that, the debris might be an amazing view, or who knows, really. I think it's just an amazing event in general.
It's going to make people excited about astronomy.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And when my dad was growing up, back in the 50s and 60s, we had all the moonwalks and things like that helped encourage the kids to kind of get into science and math and to stay in school. And I think that this is just the beginning of a start of opportunities for kids to really get interested in science and math, especially with this being in the media.
With the big event at the White House that you went to.
Right,
which
exactly.
must have been very cool. Sally Ride said the reason the White House invited middle schoolers specifically is because that's the age, that's the time when American kids face a lot of peer pressure to abandon science. And so they wanted to sort of highlight middle school kids. Do you think it makes sense to try to target people in middle school to get them to stick with science?
Absolutely. In elementary school, maybe not for every children, but I think that in elementary school you're just too young for the most part. You don't really have a total grasp on what's really out in the universe. And I think that at high school it's almost a point where it's too late, where maybe you've already explored other career options, so you've moved on and you don't want to look back. And so middle school is the perfect time in between to really, you have an open mind, you're still fresh eyes at the world. And that's really when I got started in 5th grade, so just going into the beginning of middle school.
And if anybody wants to beat your record and find a supernova when they're younger than 14, they need to start.
Yeah.
Well, Carolyn Moore, the unpaid but official Rachel Maddow Show amateur teenage astronomy czar, thank you for coming in. It's great to see you. Congratulations on all your success.
Thanks.
There is something pretty significant that's about to happen.
That is right. You are going to look here in just a second at a live shot of the moon.
The very last seconds of the shepherding spacecraft trajectory as it approaches the lunar surface. We are seeing very small craters within the crater.
We confirm a thermal signature of the crater in our mid-hour cameras. Over.
Copy, science.
Cocktail moment for you tonight. We bombed the moon.
We did.